beautiful.
Hey everybody, welcome to BK's Bullets. Today we're talking the Game of Thrones finale with Vypermajik.
Hello everyone.
Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I am your host, Brent, joined here by our special friend, Vypermajik, a.k.a. Jim Afanis.
Hello, hello.
You may recognize him from all the guest reviews he does for our channel. He's my best bud in the world. We just finished watching the Game of Thrones finale.
Yes.
So spoilers if you haven't seen anything. And, Jim, first reaction.
Loved it. And I'm honestly trying not to cry. I'm a very emotional person.
I saw you wiping your eyes over there.
I did tear up a few times. It was everything I wanted it to be. It was total redemption for anything that anybody thought was bad about Season 8. And every character got a proper send-off.
Now, the episodes leading up to this, Season 8, Episode 1 through 5.
Yeah.
How were you on those?
I was okay with them because I felt like there was going to be an end goal. I know a lot of people dissected minute to minute, but I tried to look at it as a whole. And it's hard to do because there's only, you're going to like episode 3. You don't know what's going to happen going on past that. But I tried to look at it as a whole and just try to see the big picture beats. And I think this is a rare instance where you really have to watch the whole thing before you judge.
I think so too, and I agree with you. I liked the first 2 episodes. I was pretty ho-hum on episode 3.
Yes.
With the Battle of Winterfell and the Night King being taken out in like a quick second, and an hour and a half there.
I agree.
That was a little down. And then the last episode, episode 5,
right,
where Dany torched King's Landing, and we were all like, what the hell?
Right.
I was kind of like, ugh, on. But this episode, for me, erased everything, made it all worth it. This was such a good episode, very well done, lots of character endings wrapped up, and I know people will dissect it and say, oh, this prophecy that they talked about they didn't wrap up,
right.
Who's Azor Ahai, who's the prince that was promised, are those 2 different things, you know?
You could pick on that last scene where they were all standing outside of the council and like, why was Arya there? She's not a lord of anything. And what,
right.
You could probably pick on some of that, and there's definitely some little bit of fan service in there. There always is in these episodes, but the fact that they spent so long having Jon talk to Dany and Tyrion talk to Dany and everybody kind of really laying out, hey, what happened last episode? We're going to now explain it. It just seemed... I know that this was already filmed months or whatever long ago.
Yeah.
It feels like the developers almost made this episode after the reaction last week.
Yes, it does, but it's not
We know
the
it's
case.
not. We know it's not, and that's why when people were bashing on this so bad and just making fun of Game of Thrones, I'm like, guys, this show has entertained us for years. Like, you have to trust that these guys know what they're doing, and to me, they delivered.
And you gotta notice, we're wearing our Game of Thrones gear.
Yes.
I got mine on.
Yes.
Jim bought his the other day. I've had mine for the whole season. But
I really wanted I demand trial by combat, but Amazon was like $31 for a shirt. I'm like, I don't love Game of Thrones that much.
You can still order more.
Yes, now that it's over, I'm sure they'll be at a discount.
You can still
price.
order more.
What did you think? Were you happy with this? I mean,
I was pleasantly surprised. I am really happy. I'm grinning ear to ear. This was such a fun episode to watch. I loved the change of how it started really dark and grim.
Yeah.
And just seeing the horror, all the burned bodies and the skulls and the entire city, if there was any doubt whatsoever, that entire city was laid to waste.
Yeah.
Maybe 10% of those people are left alive.
Very small percentage.
And that, and then the move to Tyrion and the conversation with Jon, and then the scene with Jon and Dany.
That was amazing.
Where Jon kills Dany.
We kind of thought it was going to happen, but the way that they filmed it, I thought, he's like, you're always my queen, and he kissed her. I'm like, oh, you drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
Jon?
I thought Arya was going to come out and stab somebody in the back.
Yes.
She was watching Jon walk up, and she was giving him evil glares, and I think that was just a little misdirect to make you think that Arya was going to use her assassin skills to get him, but Arya had her moment killing the Night King, so this wasn't her moment anymore.
She can't be the only character of the show. Yeah, Jon stabbing Dany was the biggest oh my gosh reaction, and it just seemed to build up more and more tense, and then when they had that scene at the end when they all picked Brent to be the king, that's when you started to see some of the lighthearted moments, and it seemed to end on a positive vibe.
I want to go back for a second.
Sure.
I think the Drogon in the throne room.
Oh wow! Oh my gosh!
Was just like him breathing fire everywhere in mourning of his queen.
Yes.
Was also like a symbolic of a collective exhale of all the fans of the audience. Like that we went so long with these tyrants, with these fucking Lannisters and these asshole people, and they're terrible people, and now Dany's terrible too. Nobody wanted her to rule on the Iron Throne after that last episode.
They really did break the wheel.
They break the wheel, and that Drogon melting the Iron Throne.
Oh yeah, that was very symbolic.
For me, one of the best moments of this show.
Everybody fought for this throne, and in the end, there's nothing to fight.
In the end, there's nothing else.
Now, do you think it's because Drogon knew Bran was going to be king and he couldn't sit on the throne?
He was like, "Fuck this wheelchair guy."
I love that. Yeah, and then he just flies away and he's gone. And even at the end, when Bran says, "I'll go see if I can find him," but they never show that. You just assume that he's out on some island somewhere living out his life.
You know Bran is like in the high tower, like smoking a pipe, like just working out, just like zoning out with the wide eyes, just you know, trying to find Drogon. Like it matters.
They had so many good moments. Yeah, that whole beginning part, it was very grim. Them choosing Bran really did catch me by surprise. I thought they were going to say Sansa. I really thought Sansa was going to.
They were kind of setting it up for Sansa. She was telling her uncle. Yes. You know, the Lord of Riverrun at this point, whom we'd all kind of forgotten about, you know, telling him, "Sit down, uncle." And then he turns, and then just his sword whacks the post. Bunk! Oh, whoops. Sorry. It's like, just showed you're such an idiot, uncle.
Kind of embarrassing, but I think they made the right choice. I think they picked Bran for the right reason. Bran picking Tyrion for the right reason. You know, it's kind of an atonement in a sense. Not that I think Tyrion was inherently evil throughout everything, but I think that everybody ultimately, like even like Bronn getting to be the master of coin at the end, just like he's such a weasel in the fact that he, you know, everybody kind of got where you thought they were going to go, but it wasn't. It kind of did catch me by surprise. That's why it just took me away.
It was satisfying. You got these characters you followed for 8 years, 10 years almost.
Oh, I know. Long time.
8 seasons, just getting something they deserved.
Absolutely. I can't imagine people will be critical of this. I mean, I'm sure there's always going to be people who hate stuff to hate stuff, but this just really seemed to put the nail in the coffin on so many stories. It ended with just everybody kind of fulfilling what their character beats were towards the end, and seeing that life does go on after this horrific incident.
Now, I never watched The Sopranos, but I know The Sopranos had this cut to black moment.
Oh my god.
Which everyone hates.
Universal
Unless
hatred.
you're like a television writer or whatever, but fans of the show hated
Universal hatred.
Did you hate that moment in Sopranos?
I did, and after watching a lot of making-ofs, and I watched the whole series twice, and the actors and everybody talking about it, they basically alluded to they couldn't come up with a good ending.
And the other finale I want to go back to is Lost. Did you watch Lost?
I painfully stuck through Lost after season 3, and it was brutal and grueling.
The Sopranos finale and Lost finale, great shows, which everybody loved up until the end in the season, and they had that finale, and then it was a big letdown from all the fans.
Yes.
I think Game of Thrones will not go down like Sopranos or Lost. This episode was tremendous.
It was.
Great episode.
It really was, and I can't say enough good things about it. And for everybody who got on that hype train of hatred in the first couple episodes, I'm sure that the people watching it now are like, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe knowing this and going back and watching some of the other stuff, maybe it will make it a little easier to swallow.
Reading the books, and I have 5 books over there, all the paperbacks and stuff. If you haven't seen
Quite a tower of pages.
Quite a tower of pages. It is almost as tall as my bookshelf. This feels like classic Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like the first couple seasons, how everybody was criticizing season 7 and the beginning of season 8. Feels like fan fiction, we're moving too fast, blah, blah, blah. This really felt like, you know, if George R.R. Martin handed them an outline and they went by that outline, it feels like that outline was super detailed at the last minute. Or maybe they just went back to him or whatever, you know, whatever. I don't know. Okay. But I hope that George R.R. Martin is fucking turning those pages, typing those pages out. Go, George, go! Because this just makes me want to read the next books more. And not because I know there's stuff missing or I want to see how he does it differently. That's part of that.
Right.
There's a whole nother Targaryen in the books that was left out of the TV show that we don't know if he's also real or not.
I gotcha.
And it's just kind of left hanging. We don't even know if Jon comes back after the 5th book.
That's where it ended?
That's where it ended, when Jon got stabbed in the Night's Watch and died. So anything past that point is all who knows at this point.
And as a guy who doesn't read very often or very much at all, I definitely want to read the books now, only because I want to see how different it is from the show. And I love the show, and to me, this is the best TV show of all time, period, ever.
I can't tell you.
I don't see how this. I don't see anything is better than this.
There's not. There are differences, but there are differences to make the show better.
Yeah.
And there are differences to take out the excruciating detail of those books. I mean, look at that stack of paper over there.
So here's something I was thinking about as I was watching this. Do you think that, everyone complained that, hey, this was only 6 shows. I know they were longer in length, whatever. Was there more you needed? Did you feel like this was satisfying? Like, did we really need 3 more episodes, whatever, to get through the story? I don't know. Personally, after seeing this, no.
After seeing this, I'm with you. No. 6 was enough. They were an hour and a half. If you think about the hours, the first 2 were an hour. Everyone after that, 3, 4, 5, 6, hour and a half. Right. So 6 more hours plus the 2 in the beginning. That's 8 hours of Game of Thrones, and normal seasons are 10 episodes.
So you were shortchanged a couple hours, but I just don't. Yeah, after seeing this, I don't really feel like there was anything else they needed to say. I feel like everything was said. I mean, yes, I would have loved to spend more time with Arya. I would have loved to have Jon and Tormund talk for a couple of minutes at the end, but I think just the messages and the symbology, the picture's worth 1,000 words, I think it answered all the mail. Mm-hmm. Could we have had those conversations? Sure. Were there episodes in the past of Game of Thrones that were a little too long-winded and some of the seasons dragged on? Absolutely. So I think that a lot of people didn't trust that the D&D couldn't get it done, but I think they did.
I think
they nailed it, and I know they're working on the Star Wars stuff, and I mean, a lot of people were down on that, but clearly they've proven themselves. I don't see how this can...
I think this takes everything that's been said about them in the past 2 weeks and wipes it away.
I'm really curious to see all these hate videos. Game of Thrones is dead, blah, blah, blah. I saw this coming 1,000 years ago. Maybe people did, maybe people didn't. I don't know. I was in shock the entire time.
I did not see this coming.
Maybe
I thought for sure this was going to be... I really thought this for sure was going to be an hour and a half of sludge and trudge through the ashes of King's Landing.
Okay.
And that Dany might die at the very last second.
Final seconds.
And we might get 10 minutes after that.
Okay.
I did not think she was going to die.
It's like, 30 minutes
40
in?
minutes,
Yeah.
30 to 40 minutes in.
Brent turns to me, he's like, well, there she goes, 30 whatever minutes in.
I really do like this whole Stark the way they ended the show.
Yes.
The final shots of all the Stark children.
The way it started, the way it ended, with all of them off making their own path.
I mean, you did not see Bran rolling up. You just would have seen Podrick pushing him along. That was pretty funny.
I love that on the gold armor though.
I love that Brienne. He's actually a knight now, which is a good thing.
Yes.
I love that Brienne is head of the Kingsguard in that nice little bit with Jaime in the book.
I'm glad she got her somewhat redemption after the last time we saw her being upset in Winterfell.
No one in Westeros now can say that a woman can't be a knight anymore.
Correct.
She's the head of the fucking Kingsguard.
She's at the table.
She's got a seat at the table.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought it was phenomenal.
A queen in the north. Sansa from the very first episode wanted to be a princess and wanted to be queen. She got what she wanted, but she made it happen herself with that moment in the council saying,
"You're right.
No, the north will not bend, even if it is my fucking crippled brother." It's just, we're gonna remain independent. She honored the feelings of her bannermen 2 seasons ago.
There was so much talk about women are not represented well in the show, and the writers are clearly sexist, and I think the strongest characters in the final scenes were women.
Arya got her moment. She never felt like she belonged.
Yep.
Didn't want to be a lady. She turned the Baratheon down.
Gendry.
He's now a Baratheon Gendry, right?
Yep.
Turned him down. She's going off and forging her own path again.
Yeah.
She's seen the middle. She's seen the east. She's going out west.
What's west? I don't know. Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Ending her scene ending off just sailing into unknown. I was like, that's a perfect ending for that character.
And I really like John's too. Like, it was like, you're going to the Night's Watch. And he's like, okay, fine. Right. And then he gets there, and then he's in all black. He's clearly like the Lord of
Lord
Commander of the Night's Watch. Yeah. And when you're Lord Commander, you can do what you want. You're in charge. You can say, I'm going north of the wall. See you guys. Took all the wildlings with him. Can do whatever he wants north of the wall. It's not part of the kingdoms. He can have a life for himself.
I love that because Jon has always been the tortured soul of the show. Always taking one for the team. I'll go, You always think that his last scene is he's going to be brooding somewhere in a mountain, the weight of the world is on his shoulders. And it was nice to see that he kind of had a people that he, connected with. And him and Tormund, obviously, their bromance. Them marching off back north was, a really good ending. And I'm like, finally, Jon isn't punished sitting in some, tower in the middle of nowhere doing nothing. because he's forced to, but he's actually living where he wants to be. He's like a free person.
So, having read the 5 books that are out,
Yes.
Still have not read all of World of Ice and Fire or Fire and Blood, which is the history of the Targaryen kings.
Okay.
So I'm not a super Game of Thrones nerd, but I have read everything, and I do not retain a whole lot, but I know enough to be educated. George R. R. Martin, the author, the creator of all this magnificent stuff now that we all love, said his ending, he said it's bittersweet. And I
somewhat bittersweet.
feel like this was bittersweet. Bittersweet in the fact that you were rooting for Dany, and then she turned out to have that Targaryen madness.
Yeah.
You know, he had the line in the last episode, the world flips a coin. Anytime a Targaryen's born, the world flips a coin and holds his breath.
So Varys said, yeah.
Varys.
Yeah, he said that.
And,
you're right.
you know, her downfall was the bitter part, and the sweet part was that everything turned out okay, I guess, in the end.
Yeah, despite the
Even
fact
though
that
a ton of people died.
a lot of innocent people died, but in the end, it seems like there's a good path forward. The way they laid out, you know, we're going to elect our king. Like, they kind of laughed at Sam, but then they kind of ended up doing this
did like that.
pseudo-democracy anyway.
I was sitting next to you, I was kind of groaning. I was trying not to ruin your experience because I know you said, like, Brent, if I come over to watch this,
Shut up.
are you going to talk the entire time like some of my other friends who
Yes.
won't shame here?
Yes.
Or will you be quiet? And then I was
was
trying to be quiet, and then Jim was the one that was talking, and I was like, okay, it's all right to talk every once in a while.
little like 2 syllables or
But
less.
I
Grunt
did audibly
Yes.
kind of groan when I was like, oh, here we go, birth of democracy, Samuel
Knights in the
Tarly.
round, whatever.
Ooh, every little peasant's going to get a vote, just like we have now.
But the fact that they kind of sort of went that way, but it was, you know, they laid out the fact that Bran would be king, but not king forever. It's not going to be one of these keep it in the family type things because he can't have children.
Well,
it really did.
He can have children, but this is a medieval world, so they assume that since his
Right.
lower half doesn't work, his
He could always work into
his
some
things
dude.
don't work. You know, he could, I guess.
He
But
could work into somebody.
so there's
but
no more. I like the fact that they did break the wheel. They did what Dany wanted to do. There's no more lords growing up to be assholes, growing
Yes.
up to be kings.
And even Tyrion made a point of that. You know, it's probably a good thing. Look at all the trouble we've had. Look
Mm-hmm.
at, you know, the Boltons of the world and just evil that.
The Boltons, his own family. All
yeah.
his nieces and nephews. Not Tommen, not Marcella, but
So the
just
fact,
Joffrey.
so the fact that they kind of even laid out that happy ending in a sense that, you know, life is going to get back to normal. However, it's not going to be in 10 years. Are not going to be another uprisal of an evil king taking over, an evil queen taking over. I really like that, and I thought it just had a good. That's the sweet part of it. The bitter part of it, obviously, Dany, the people's champion, seeing her in so many season finales with the music and, you know, her marching and growing more and more powerful. And even, like, with what I was saying earlier with her hair, like, if you watch the first season, her hair is flat, and she's like, I don't want to braid my hair because I have no victories. And by the end, her hair is sticking out like 4 feet in the back of her head because she's done so much. And then to watch her just lose it all, it's like, oh, that's heartbreaking. Like, you had it. All you had to do was stand down and you would have won.
Now, I feel like this episode may get some criticisms for that time jump we had from where Jon kills Dany and Drogon takes her body off to when we cut to Tyrion. He's obviously more disheveled. And I was like, what'd they do? Is this the next day they just ruffled up his beard because he slept on the floor? Like, it was really nice and clean when he was talking to Jon, but...
It was enough time to set up all the, you know, the rebuild a little bit of the throne room area. That map was put back together. The table was set back up. Everyone had nice uniforms.
I guess it was much longer than that, but I was like, this is at least 2 weeks before because they said in episodes previously that it'll take 2 weeks from the Northmen to get from Winterfell over to King's Landing. So this is maybe a month later. I don't know.
Definitely in the last series, time seemed to be broken as opposed to the previous seasons when you had Robb marching down. It took him a season to get halfway before he got
one cannot
skunked.
fly from Dragonstone to north of the Wall
Right.
in 2 hours.
So, I don't mind that because, yes, we did miss out on those small talk conversations in between, but it was clear that it was at a time past, you know, the city had been somewhat cleaned up, order had been somewhat restored. So I was okay with that last time. That didn't bother me.
If anything, if it bothers you, go read the book if it ever comes out. Because I guarantee...
He's going to talk a lot, right? He's going to
how Jon survived Grey Worm will be in the book. How did Grey Worm not come in, go, where the hell is my queen, and not kill Jon right away, and keep him alive for the 2 weeks to a month that it took for everyone to come down?
you know,
is astonishing.
I was happy.
Much less Tyrion not be dead either.
I really thought that we would see a Jon versus Grey Worm standoff at the end, and I was really happy that Grey Worm got to break free. True breaker of chains. I don't know how they're going to go. They could go live on the land, but they can't have kids, right?
They're just going to enjoy their time on the beach.
So that's what I mean. So they're going to go off and they're going to live happily ever after.
Apparently, it's a beautiful isle.
They can put down their spears and they can just live. And they've been through so much. So I was happy that, and even at the end when Jon was marching away and Grey Worm was kind of scowling down at him, I was like, you know what, dude, bury it. It's over. Let it go. Live your life. You're happy. You get to be free. You were manipulated just like a lot of other people were. It's over. And I that's where I go back to, like, you look at everybody's storyline from where they were first introduced to if they made it to the finale, and they all got an ending that made the most sense for them. Even Brent being the coin guy, like he's such a weasel.
Bron's still Lord of Highgarden.
Crossbow to Tyrion 3 episodes. He's sitting at the table and they're all sitting there chatting like.
They offered the Unsullied Highgarden, and I was like, wait, what about Bronn? Bron's gonna fucking kill Tyrion for this, and then sure enough, he got what he wanted.
He got happy. So I'm in love with this series. It's still my absolute favorite series of all time. I can't wait till the collector edition comes out. I know they're going to have... I still maintain they're going to have an egg. The egg, and then all the DVDs are going to be inside. I'm buying it day one. I'll watch it from beginning to end on Blu-ray, so I don't have the really muddy HBO Go or Now textures.
I already have all the seasons. I will buy season 8.
And keep on going.
And I will borrow the extra disc that's not included in my season.
Yes.
And all that stuff.
And I can't wait. I'm gonna wait a while, a couple months. I mean, I know the season's gonna take a while to come on DVD, but it's just one of those shows that's very special. And I think it's, now that I know how it ends, I think watching it from the beginning will just add more layers of even just how they frame things. I saw a lot of stuff on YouTube last week of how they were framing like the battle with the Night's Watch or the King of the Undead.
The Night's King.
Night's King. Thank you. How they frame that versus earlier battles with, like, the Battle of the Bastards. They showed a lot of there's a lot of parallel stuff in the way they film things, the lines they use, the way they stand. So I gotta, again, give credit to the creators of the show, or the showrunners, whatever, because they clearly were fans of their own work, and they understood how to build this symbolism and imagery and stuff, and I think it just all flows so nicely. Now seeing everything, going back and watching, it's like, oh yeah, I remember.
Well, if you think about this season as a whole, like, you have... episode 3 is the battle for the whole world against the dead. And it was a huge battle. It was a huge battle. So to have another one for the crown 2 episodes later would have been just as boring, because basically we've already seen a whole long battle.
Yeah.
So what do you do at that point? Do you wrap everything up 2 episodes before you do, or do you throw everybody a curveball, which is what they did? And I'm assuming that's what George R.R. Martin's going to have to do, or this is his outline. We're assuming. But, you get a big battle, you get the resolution that everybody in the world is safe from death now, basically.
Yeah,
so
safe.
So you had to do something in that episode, and what we got was the sacking of King's Landing, the burning of King's Landing, which then gave us this episode to wipe everything away and start fresh.
A clean slate, and ultimately, man was his own biggest enemy, and it's now up to them to defend themselves. From themselves.
I wonder if, had they been better served with having a 3-hour final episode and just smushing these 2 together.
Oh, okay.
And not have the week. I guess, hindsight's 20/20, but, HBO can do whatever they want. They're their own cable channel.
You can't stop the internet hate. You can't stop the trolls from it festering, and just the amount of negativity I saw billowing out from even my own group of friends that talked about this episode. I'm like, you guys just wait it out and let's see. Give them, I really think it boils down to instant satisfaction. That's the culture we live in now. That's the world we live in now. This was a slow burn.
It was.
And let the story tell itself. Now that it's done, now that episode 6 is in the books, now we could be critical of it.
And having seen episode 6, I'm fully happy. I'm glad everything happened the way it did.
10 out of 10.
So score for this episode?
If there's more than 10, if there's an infinity, I would give it that.
Score for the season.
Overall, the season
8.
It wasn't the strongest season. I think the ending was the best, but I'd probably say an 8 or a 9. Really, it wasn't the best, but in of the whole, it was great. But individual, you could start to see where people are losing doubt halfway through. But I think sticking through it gave you the ultimate reward at the end.
So for me, this episode, I'll have to give it a 9 out of 10. I wasn't super pumped and everything, but the way it turned out, everything came together. I was really, really pleased. 9 out of 10.
Beautiful.
The season 8, probably have to give like a 6.5.
Just overall, you weren't happy with it.
Overall, like from episode 1 and 2 were great. Episode 3, 4, 5, like just as themselves, if you silo them together, were not as good or whatever. I like. Frankly, last episode I was trying to fall asleep. It was really kind of boring. I'm not falling asleep, but I was really bored by all the shots of like they would just like overemphasize the stuff with Arya and the fire, and I was like, can we get to anything else? Like this doesn't need to be an hour and a half. So that's where the season comes down for me. But you know, this episode as a whole redeems everything, I think, for me.
Absolutely, yeah. I think they focused on the characters that needed to be focused on. They told the stories that needed to be told. They were ham-fisted a little bit in the ultimate destruction of King's Landing. However, it kind of set up everybody's motives for the finale, so it kind of made sense in its own way.
And they did, and I feel like the internet hate is kind of the same reaction that the 9th episode in season 3, the Red Wedding.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that happened, and book readers were like glued to our sets, just watching people who didn't know the books. That was the fun in that. But if we didn't have any books, if this was all original material, and you had that episode, the internet at that time would have flipped the fuck out because
that was very monumental.
They killed half their characters in that episode.
This show,
I feel like they did the same thing last episode with killing Dany. So, I guess the reaction would have been the same, except we had the books to go by and be like, oh, this is faithful to the books.
If this show taught us anything, I hope it's a good template for shows in the future, that no one is safe, and just don't assume that the good guy's always going to come home.
Don't assume that every guy you're following is a good guy.
And the fact that like Ned gets killed in the first season and he's the main guy was like, now what?
Well, I've told people before, and I think I told you when I loaned you this first season, I was like, watch the first season. If by the end of the season by the end of the first season, you're either in or you're out.
You're right. Yes.
Because if you can't handle Ned dying in episode 9 and watch episode 10, you're out.
No,
if you're like, whoa, what is going to happen next? You're in, and we got you. So
perfect. I loved it. I'm glad I got to come over and watch it. I didn't cry in front of you, so that's a small victory of my own part. I did well up a few times. It was very, very emotional to me. But I'm sad it's over. But I'm happy that it ended on a high note.
So Sons of Anarchy was our show together. We didn't watch that together.
It's really, really good.
But that's over.
Really good. Yeah.
Game of Thrones now over. We watched that together
at
the finale.
What's next? I don't know.
What's our next finale?
I don't know. I need to think. I need some time. All these HBO shows they're showing look phenomenal. So
Watchmen, His Dark Materials, it's all there, man.
I don't know. We'll find something, and if maybe we'll start doing more reaction videos to TV shows.
I don't know. Probably not.
You never know.
The big ones.
We do our annual game podcast. We'll do our annual
reaction video finale. All right. Thank you guys for watching so much.
Yes.
For Jim Afanis, I'm going to sign off. He can be found on YouTube at Vypermajik. Spell it for me.
Vypermajik.
That's what I always think, and I always think I'm wrong when I'm trying to spell it. And I am your host, Brent Casino. If you like this episode, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down.
That's
like,
impossible.
comment, rate, subscribe.
Always comment.
All this stuff. And as always, we will see you guys next time here on BK's Bullets in the Funny Pages.
Very nice.
That might go down as the best episode ever.
The best. I like how you did your hair. This is really
You like how I did
beautiful,
my hair?
Beautiful.
That was the 10-second intro. I read on YouTube that 10 seconds before we watch the video, cut the intro.
Okay.
And we'll come back and reintroduce ourselves.
All right, well, very good.